Recapping day 3 of the 2025 NFL Scouting Combine, Tyler Shough, quarterback out of Louisville, and Jaxson Dart had themselves some good performances in front of all 32 teams in Indianapolis. We're going to talk about this and more coming up next.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson. I'm an offensive draft analyst over with Bleacher Report. And guys, thank you so much for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day, especially this morning, and being our everydayers. Got a fun show to break down, recapping day 3 of the 2025 NFL Scouting Combine. Talking about quarterbacks, running backs, receivers. Who were the money makers? Who were the bag fumblers? We're going to get into all of that. But before so, guys, got to talk about today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. When you talk about money makers from the quarterback standpoint, guys, I got to go to Louisville quarterback Tyler Shough. 6'5", over 210 pounds, ran the 4.63 in the 40. One of the only quarterbacks to actually run the 40-yard dash. So he competed in that regard, showcased to all 32 teams. Yes, I may be 25 years old and all that stuff that people talk about from a negative standpoint, but I still am an athletic quarterback. But not only that, right? Going from the 40 onto the field drills. He showed the arm talent he has. He has a powerful live arm. He can drive throws in the middle of the field into tight windows, and then he can push it down the field outside the numbers as well. You saw him do everything he needed to do, right? And he showcased, even with the 40-yard dash, he showcased his personality and ability to engage with the fans, getting the fans riled up inside Lucas Oil Stadium, right? Just those things, those little things. Now, like I said, going back to the field drill, one thing I appreciate with him is he is an accurate quarterback. He showcased good footwork. For the most part, he was impressive, man. I really appreciated everything Tyler Shough did, right? He had the best deep ball throw of all the quarterbacks, in my opinion, throughout the entire day, right? From start to finish, he'd had the best deep ball thrown all day. So I think for him, it was more so coming out there and telling the teams that are willing to overlook, yes, I think he had one or two collarbone injuries that he suffered. He had a broken fibula off of a hip drop tackle and things of that nature. He has just a weird injury history. But listen, with the arm talent, the mobility, the ability to work from 1 to 3, as in going through his progressions. Now, he did get a little cute. On the drills, because you typically don't see guys simulating the defend, like a pressure to where they rip, reset, and throw, or rip, climb, and throw. You don't really see guys do that at the combine. He did that. He did not complete the pass. But it was just a simple fact of, how with the dunk contest with the NBA, you just add a little pizzazz, a little sauce to some stuff. Like, that's what he was doing. That's what Tyler Shough was doing. He even, like, just arm angles, like he kind of like drifted and things like that, kind of a little off platform, if I remember correctly, on 1 or 2 throws. He completed them, but it was just kind of, for him, just kind of showing, hey, I'm just not the run-of-the-mill drop back and throw it. I can throw it from different arm angles. I can throw it from different bases with my footwork. I can also climb, rip, and get the ball out as well, because that's something that certain guys can't do, is when they get pressure, they can't climb, rip, climb, and reset quick enough, and he was able to do it. He just didn't complete the pass. So I think Tyler Shough had an impressive day. But not only just him, talking about guys who made themselves some money, was Jaxson Dart from Ole Miss. Was Jaxson Dart like just uberly impressive? I wouldn't say he was just like he dominated the day, but he was clean, man. He was clean. He probably had one of the best and cleanest throwing sessions of all the quarterbacks. Good accuracy on the short and deep balls. Now, the one thing I would say with the deep ball, and I feel like they talked about it on the broadcast, was that his deep ball, the trajectory, like, it's kind of flat. So it's like, yeah, and you see him miss some deep balls on tape, and it's because of the trajectory. And it's like if he can get a little bit more air, a little bit more rainbow arc on those throws, it's going to help himself out a lot. So I just look at that Jaxson Dart, like I said, overall efficient, effective, clean, accurate, good ball placement and everything. His footwork and throwing mechanics, they bug me a little bit. But hey, Phillip Rivers got away with that weird throwing motion he had. So he built off the hype from the Senior Bowl. He did not disappoint. He had a clean performance. Also, Riley Leonard from Notre Dame, guys. I'm telling you right now, Riley Leonard did well. He did well. And I think for him, it was, hey, let's extrapolate me from Duke, from Notre Dame. Notre Dame used him as like a stint, like the modern days Tebow. Remember against Ohio State, the first drive, he carried it 9 times. Like the quarterback ran the ball 9 times. Like I know that on the broadcast, they kept comparing Jaxson Dart to Jalen Hurts. And I'm like, yeah, I hear you. But Riley Leonard actually does the stuff that Jalen Hurts does. Jaxson Dart, like he'll improvise and run. Oh, but they'll call QB power, QB draw, and like run the running offense through Riley Leonard at Notre Dame. So I think extrapolating him from that situation, allowing him to get there, he threw a good pacing. His accuracy was good. Ball placement was good. Again, these are quarterbacks throwing to guys they've never seen before. Right? Besides maybe on tape, they have not thrown to these guys before. So he did a good job being able to, yes, all of them missed throws, all of them kind of sprayed high or whatever at times. It was more so how many times did you do it? And he didn't do it much, to be honest. He had a few throws, but outside of that, he was good. Delivered with touch, knowing how to toggle between velocity and layering passes. Good efficient workout for Riley Leonard. Guys that fumbled the bag, in my opinion, I go right to Oregon's Dylan Gabriel. Right, he came in taller, so that helped. He was like 5'11", where he was like 5'10" at the Senior Bowl. There was some really weird stuff going on where the Jalen Milroe's hands came in bigger at the combine than they were at the Senior Bowl. I don't know. All I know is this: that Dylan Gabriel came out there, and I remember being at the Senior Bowl about 3-4 years ago. When Carson Strong out of Nevada was there, people had him as QB1. There was just a lot of crazy talk about him because he had a strong arm. But he was a statue in the pocket, and he had a really bad knee. So he came out there, and instead of just running the offense at the Senior Bowl, he was trying to prove that I can step and drive into throws. I can move and different things of that nature. And I felt the same thing with Dylan Gabriel. He was spraying throws high. He was spraying throws low. He had some throws in the dirt at the feet of his receivers. He overthrew some guys. The deep ball was underthrown. The arm talent, I know they talked about on the broadcast, like, oh, yeah, he can spin it. He does not have much arm. And I've seen it in person. I saw it at the Senior Bowl. You know what I mean? We watched it this past weekend. Like when you have to throw the ball down the field, guys, at the Senior Bowl, there were some throws down the field where the receivers had a step and he did not pull a trigger in team drills. And I was like, hey, it's either A, he can't see over the line, or B, he doesn't trust that his arm can get the ball there. So he's a guy that's going to have to be like the Bryce Youngs, the Tuas, the Mac Jones, those guys that get the ball out early and to throw it deep. Because if he can't throw it deep early, it's not going to be in stride against tight man-to-man coverage. Things of that nature. To me, he felt like he was pressing. He was trying to showcase and try to prove something. And I live by the mantra, guys. I'm not trying to prove anybody wrong. I'm trying to prove myself right. Let's make sure that we distribute the energy into a positive place. I just don't feel like he did a good job of that. Ball lost some steam. Not a great workout for him. Jalen Milroe, and I preface this with, he was just inconsistent, right? He had a lot of sprays high. Footwork was not great and not there consistently, things of that nature. But he did have some solid spots. But I felt like, if anything, Jalen Milroe, what he did was reaffirm that he's a project, reaffirm that he is a work in progress as a passer. And for NFL teams that, hey, we dropped a mock over at Bleacher Report. He went 3-round mock. He went to the second round. We'll talk about that later, but on a different pod. But nonetheless, yes, with Jalen Milroe, I think he needs to sit. He needs to work with the QB coach and figure out his mechanics and that muscle memory overall. So when you talk about the quarterbacks, who was up, who was down, Those are my 3 ups: Tyler Shough, Riley Leonard, and Jaxson Dart. My downs were Dylan Gabriel out of Oregon and Jalen Milroe out of Alabama. But guys, coming up next, we're going to get into the running backs. What running backs showcased themselves well and who was able to make themselves some money and who fumbled the bag? Coming up next. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on said action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening tip-off or want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. I love using FanDuel's live betting feature because it keeps every moment of the game exciting. Whether I'm backing my team, my Detroit Pistons, for a late game rally or picking Cade Cunningham to hit a clutch 3 to win it all, I never feel like I missed my chance. Plus, the app is super easy to use, and when you win, you get paid instantly. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 back in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 back in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Running backs that moved their stock up, guys that made themselves some money. My guy, my brother, my fellow Damian Martinez out of Miami came in, measured at 6 foot even, 217 pounds, busted a 4.51. Okay, that's the type of stuff that makes you kind of sit up when you see a guy nearly 220 pounds with his frame and getting very close to the high 4.4s, right? And getting in the low 4.5s. He had a good day. Athletic testing was good for him, especially for a guy of his body size. He was smooth. He was fluid. He was agile, working through the drills. Guy that didn't look like he didn't have a lot of wasted movement. He knew how to work himself with the footwork through the bag drills when he time to catch the ball. If you see everything on tape, this is what the combine is for. Not for crazy overreactions. It's to affirm or reaffirm or to readjust, right? There's some guys that performed a specific way that's going to send us back to the tape. Damian Martinez, if you really watched this tape and studied him, you don't need to go back to it. You just need to check the boxes off, and he did every bit of that. He's confident as a pass catcher. He's reliable as a pass catcher. You know he's a physical guy, but he also has the lateral agility to be able to make guys miss in the alley one-on-one. But then if he needs to, he'll stiff arm you. If he needs to, he'll run through your face. If he needs to, he will fall forward. He's a physical, strong back that has elusiveness and evasiveness in open field. Okay, so yes, this is a guy that's got short area quickness. Again, like to top off at 4.51, that's a really good time at nearly 220. Okay, for a guy that's not a long, because usually some of those guys run the 40, and that's why some of these guys get hawked down. Because you might run a 4.42, but then I watch you on tape and you're getting ran down because you got a super long stride, and maybe you're not taller enough to have that type of stride, and then you get tired. You know what I mean? So it's not like you're not fast; it's you don't have lasting speed. So I look at Damian Martinez. I feel like he truly made himself some money, and teams that need a bell cow RB1. Damian Martinez, if you don't want to get Ashton Genty because it's too high, too rich for your blood of a price tag, fine. If you don't want to get a Marion Hampton, if you want to keep waiting to little mid to early mid-second, day 2, I'm sorry, talking about early 3rd round, yes, Damian Martinez, who's one of my top 5 backs in this class, 100%, I mean 100%, did what he needed to do. Another guy that boosted his stock, in my opinion, it's got to go to Ohio State. And I'm talking about Quinshon Judkins. He was 220. Quinshon Judkins came in at 220 pounds, 6 foot 220. This young man knocked off a 4.48 in the 40, a 1.51 10-yard split. He was explosive. 38.5-inch vert, 11-inch clear across the board in the broad. So you talk about a guy that is a physical back who wants to punch you in the face, who wants to run through you. My comp for him has been, and it will not change, Kareem Hunt, because also he catches the ball well out of the backfield. Right? He's got soft, reliable hands as well. right? You look at what Ohio State did, they will split him out wide and run little quick hitches and comebacks and stuff, and he catch the ball well. So you're talking about a guy that could potentially be a pass catching problem for linebackers, but then you get him downhill, he not only can run through you and stiff arm you, I think the elusiveness at 220, when I remember watching him, because at Ole Miss, he weighed in like 205, 210. So he's like 10 to 15 pounds heavier playing for Ohio State. And I think what he was listed at Ohio State and he at the combine. But nonetheless, guys, I look at Chewy Jaxson and I said, listen, the teams, again, day 2, who are looking for a new potential RB1, even if it's not in 2025, they're like, hey, I got a veteran like the Vikings or something. Like, we have an Aaron Jones, we have a aging veteran. The Washington Commanders like, yeah, we got Brian Robinson Jr., but we need a guy that fits better with Jaden Daniels. Yeah, day 2, Chewy Jaxson can come in and be your starter, whether it's this year or the following year. One more running back that really helped himself, man, it's got to be the fastest man out of the group of running backs, and that's Bashaul Tootin from Virginia Tech. This young man comes from a family of athletes. I believe his dad was a fast sprinter. His mom has like a record in the hurdles. Like, he comes from that 5'9", 206 pounds, 4.32 in the 40, 149, 10-yard split, 40.5-inch vert, 10.10 in the broad. He also ran the short shuttle, the 20-yard shuttle in 4.41. Guys, I'm telling you right now, he is going to be a riser. He's going to be a riser for team. He caught the ball well. He wasn't stiff and rigid, in my opinion, in how he handled the field drills. Hey, all I'm saying is this is a guy that made himself some money, and he helped himself out well overall. And I just think that he's going to be, I think teams that want to get downhill, teams want to a one-cut explosive runner. Yeah, I mean, I think he's that guy. And he could be similar to Breece Hall in my opinion, in all honesty. But I got to really dive deeper into the film to verify everything else. But guys, that hey, well, what goes up must come down. Kyle Monangai out of Rutgers, you guys know that's one of my guys during the season, coming out of the summer, man. 5'8", 211. At one point, and I'm wrong, I felt like him and Ashton Jeanty were not that far apart. Ashton Jeanty to me looks like a much bigger profile at 220 pounds or 218, whatever. Common guy came in at 5'8", 211. He tested poorly. He was not fast. He was not dynamic. He was not explosive. And when you are a running back and you're undersized, these are the things you just can't have, man. You can't have it. He did not have a good workout at all. 4.6 in the 40, 154, 10-yard split. Not terrible. A 34.5-inch vert, 9.9 in the broad. I believe he was like in the bottom of majority of the athletic testing for the running back. Then you get on the field and it's the pass catching drills and he's dropping passes and he felt like he was losing confidence rep by rep. So yeah, man, I just a tough outing for him overall. Another guy I think that did not help themselves was Ollie Gordon II, man, out of Oklahoma State, 6'1", 226. He weighed in at 230 at the Senior Bowl. He dropped 4 to 5 pounds, and still ran 4.61 with a 1.16-yard split. He had a solid jump in the broad at 10 feet even, but he had a 34.5-inch vertical. He, again, like, just what do you do with him? He's not evasive. He's not elusive. He's not explosive. Like, if you ran a 4.61, but he had a 1.54 10-yard split, I'm like, okay, we can work with that because that 10-yard burst is going to be legitimate. That 10-yard burst is not based off of those testings. I don't think he did extremely well at the combine. He didn't help himself there. Besides looking the part, it's just so much more to it than looking the part. And I think it's just a mighty fall from a guy that rushed for over 1,700 yards in 2023 and was the best back in the country. NCAA had him as a beast on the NCAA 25 and everything like that when it first dropped last summer. And yeah, things are just a little different, man. I think he's a day 3 pick at best. And I just don't know what type of role besides a short yardage back you're going to get out of Ollie Gordon. But guys, coming up next, we're going to get to those pass catchers. Who were the guys that really made themselves some money, the biggest winners, and why is one of them out of Texas? We're going to talk about that coming up next. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers. When you talk about making yourself some money, and if not, for me, it was all affirming and reaffirming what I believed in the first place. Matthew Golden out of Texas came in at 5'11", 191. He had the shorter arms, 30 and 5/8, 9.5-inch hands, and people are like, oh, the hand size. Or the arm length, I'm sorry. And then he gets to the 40. And wow, his two teammates, Jaden Blue and then Isaiah Bond out here talking about, yeah, we're going to break the record. We're going to hit 4 2s and 4 1s. Neither one of them got close. Matthew Golden hit 4.2, sub 4.3, 4.29 in the 40 with a 1.49 10-yard split. And you know what he did? He packed it in. He said, I don't have to do anything else. I know that the agency called and said, shut it down. We're good. Okay. They did the same thing, but I think with Jahdae Barron on Friday night. You know what I mean? When Jahdae ran that 4.4, 4.39, they had him shut it down. It was done. It didn't do any field work and things of that nature. I look at Matthew Golden right now, just the snappiness of his routes at the top of his breaks, the twitch, the explosiveness, the ball skills. Man, I think he's a good route runner. This is a guy that transitions very quickly to becoming a runner. You're talking about running quick hitches, curls, comebacks, and how he is able to do those things. And then on the flip side of all of that, once he catches the ball, he's a no-nonsense type of receiver. He's not dancing. He's not two-stepping. He is catching the ball, and he is getting upfield. So I think he made himself, for a lot of teams, a first-round pick, right? Because not only he didn't do the jumps and the other time, like, again, you could tell the agents told him, shut it down. You're good. And listen, all right, I don't blame him. Okay? I don't blame him at all. Like, shut it down. For what? Listen, what he did was essentially what Popeyes did when they dropped the chicken sandwich, guys. That's the same thing he did. He created buzz. Now everybody's like, man, all the fantasy players, I need to get some Matthew Golden on my dynasty team this fall, right? Everybody's talking about where is he going to land in the draft. He's my wide receiver 2 right now, right? He's my wide receiver 2 right now, man. And I listen, I'm telling you right now, man, he had a good day. He had a good day just for what he did. He didn't need to do everything else is on tape. But to come out here and do what he did in the 40, yeah, stock up. All right, for everybody else, stock up. I'm good. He is where I had him. Right, Jaden Higgins, man, I got it. This is one of those guys I'm talking about. Sending you back to the tape. It's gonna be Jaden Higgins, 6'4", 200+ pounds. He ran a 4.47. He jumped 39 inches. Had a 10.8 in the broad. We know that this is a smooth route running possession receiver. We were wondering what was the long speed gonna look like. And Jaden Higgins, yeah, like, man, to have that type of speed, albeit in the 40, right? To have that type of speed, sub 4.5, to run that type of speed, that type of time with his frame, with his long legs, 6'4", 214, 33 in the 1/8 on the arm, 9 and 1/8 on the hand. Listen, this guy, his teams that need that possession, like outside traditional X receiver, that's him. I got to go back to the tape. I got to see. I saw him at Mobile. Going back, I don't know if I felt that the speed was there the same way, but maybe listen, truthfully, it might be just the release package for him. He hones in and really irons out that release package. Now you get to really beat guys at the line of scrimmage quickly, suddenly, and get vertical. I do recall him stacking a couple guys when he was able to win quickly. I do remember that. Let me correct myself. So I'm going to go back to the tape on Jaden Higgins and might have to rework his grade and everything like that, man. But he helped himself a whole lot, man. Jimmy Horn Jr. out of Colorado, he also helped himself. Strong performance, 4.46 in the 40, 38-inch vert, a 10.8 on the broad. This is a guy, if you watch Colorado's offense, right? The last 2 years, yeah, Jimmy Horn ain't nothing to play with, okay? Jimmy Horn Jr. is nothing to play with. At 5'8", 174 pounds, this is a guy that reminds me of like Marquise Hollywood Brown. Explosive. He runs really good routes. Like, he knows how to get in and out of his breaks. He's quick as a hiccup. Like, this is a type of guy that you want is that movement motion piece in your offense, that space satellite. He's not a satellite back. He's a satellite wide receiver where you want to get the ball to him in space, right? So, again, he's not going to meet the height, weight thresholds for certain teams. 5'8", 174, arm length either at 30 and 3/8. Even the hands were small, 8 3/4. But guess what? He only had one drop through the gauntlet drill. And you know, they run that twice. They run it one way and run it reverse. And he only had one drop. And I think that was kind of a bad ball. So nonetheless, Jimmy Horn Jr. made himself some money. You're talking about guys that fumble the bag, in my opinion. Pat Bryant out of Illinois, he 4.61 in the 40. He did not look fluid during the field drills. Looked a little rigid and stiff. He's got one of the more muscle-bound builds. I don't really know. I had a day three grade on him. I liked his tape, but it was 6'2", 204 out of Illinois. Also came in with shorter arms, 31 and 1/8, and then you're not explosive. His 10-yard split was solid, 1.56, and then he jumped well in the vert, 37 and a half. But it's like, okay, what are you going to be, that short to intermediate outside receiver? I think that's probably where he's going to live. And that's where he's going to have to live, in all honesty. But just to test the speed testing for me was not good. That he didn't do any of the 3-cone, 20-yard shuttle, I don't believe, things of that nature. At least I haven't seen I looked on the website, did not see any of those numbers up there at the time of this recording. So, yeah, man, it's just tough. It's tough. Another guy that did not perform well is Joshua Kelly. Joshua Kelly came in and ran a 4.7 flat, and that was the worst of all the 40 times of the wide receivers. And for context, Harold Fanning ran a 4.72, and Harold Fanning is like 6'3", 240, 242. Joshua Kelly is 6'1", 186. This is a guy that's a good route runner, tempo, patience. He understands how to snap off routes, right? Really crisp in that regard, but it's the quickness of everything, the quickness, the long speed. It's not there, right? It's not there. 4.7 in the 40, 1.5 was crazy. 1.56 in the 10-yard split, 33 inches on the vert, 10.1 on the broad, and his 3-cone was a 7.02. I don't know, man. Like, that's tough, guys. That's really why it's just tough when you're sub 200 pounds. Sub 200, you ran the second worst 3-cone. You had the worst 40 of all receivers. And let me just double check. He was like middle of the pack, like closer to the back end of the vertical jumps. And I just look at it like, listen, good route runner. He plays at his own pace. He knows how to manipulate guys, push you upfield, snap off with crisp, sharp cuts. He's just not that quick. He's not explosive, and he's not fast. Yeah, day 3 pick, probably undrafted UDFA is probably where he is headed. But, guys, that is the show recapping day 3 of the 2025 NFL Scouting Combine with the quarterbacks, the running backs, and the receivers, those money makers and those bag fumblers, guys. But that's the show. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today, and everyday shot for being our everydayers. Okay, go and subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. On tomorrow's show, we're getting into Bleacher Report. I'm part of that team. We dropped a 3-round mock. I talked about it early in the show. We're going to talk about that mock draft, who went in the first round, and probably talk about some day 2 quarterback landing spots. We'll get into all that on tomorrow's show. So come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.